Hey there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Nathan Fox. That's Ben Olson. We're the founders of LSATdemon.com and our weekly podcast, Thinking LSAT. We've got an email here from David.
Hi, I'm looking for any guidance regarding a recent decline I'm experiencing in my performance on sections. Okay. After I began my studies with the demon at the start of August, I experienced sharp increases in my scores on tests, plus 15 points, and sections, often missing less than 5 questions on each, respectively. In the past 10 days, my scores and general performance seems to have declined despite my increased time spent in uninterrupted study and drill sessions. I am struggling to get to the final logic game despite being able to in the past, and I'm hardly scratching the surface of the final passage in reading comp under normal timed conditions. My LR scores are relatively within the expected range, but still experienced a dip as well. Okay, how much of a dip? This is concerning as I was under the impression that I would be well prepared to reach my target score as I was on the cusp in early September. I scheduled myself for the November LSAT about a month ago and am confused and deflated by my recent downtrend. Was wondering if you guys had any advice on how to wade through a shitty slump. I've searched for a general diagnosis of my problem and don't know whether it's habitual or just a natural progression. I thought my habits were improving as far as reading to understand, use of words, and predicting answer choices are concerned, yet I feel as if I'm going backwards.
10 days is a pretty small sample. I just think you're so, it's like you're earnest, right? David is hardworking, serious, focused, has already made a lot of improvement, but there's fluctuation, there's just randomness on the upside and the downside. So the sharp increase in your scores, some of that can be luck. And then this current downswing that you are perceiving can also be luck. The important part here is that you say, I thought my habits were improving as far as reading to understand, use of words, predicting answer choices. All that stuff sounds awesome. Like, I think you're totally doing the right stuff. The only thing that I would change if I were you is I just would stop paying so much attention to all of my practice test scores. And, it's just not that important. You can't control it ultimately. And we're not even trying to control the variance. What we want to do is pay attention to the stuff that we can actually do something about, which is, am I understanding the words that are on the page? Am I tuned in? Am I attacking the argument? Am I really aggressively trying to figure out why the reading comprehension document exists? Am I doing a good job of baking rules into worlds on my logic games solutions? If you're doing all that stuff right, then the scores will follow. It's just that they're going to follow within this bell curve of possible outcomes. And for a period as short as 10 days, it's totally possible that you can just be getting unlucky. And then the risk is that you start creating a self-fulfilling prophecy for yourself by perseverating on, the bad statistics that you're seeing. What are your thoughts?
No, I agree. I think this is a normal reaction to that David is having. I'm thinking about my son just finished his cross country season, and
Okay.
he I guess I don't know why this is or this is normal or what, but it seems like every track meet he went to or cross country meet he went to, they just ran a 5K. It's like the same race every single time. So it makes it very easy to track progress, right? He started with a slower time and that time increased rapidly at the beginning, right? Or decreased, I guess you could say. His time got better very quickly at first. And then you have this number in your head. You're like, okay, so it took you 20 minutes and 30 seconds, right? And then when he runs it again, if he improves, then it's like a win. Of course, the improvements get marginally, right? They get smaller each time. But if he drops, if his time goes up, then it's like, oh, that was that wasn't as good of a run or something. But it's like, yeah, but how does that compare to where he was at the beginning? It's astronomically better, but it's just human nature. Once you
Yeah.
lock in that like better score,
Yeah.
everything gets now compared to that as opposed to just the general trend.
Yeah. It's just habituation, like acclimation.
Mhm.
Yeah. You're going to really notice the bad ones
Mhm.
because you've got your eye set on this improving. Yeah. I think you just have to trust that the improvement, if you feel like you're getting it, if you feel like the questions are making more sense, then they are making more sense. And you've got to just trust that the scores are going to follow. Your your times on your 5K are going to follow, but they're not going to follow in any linear fashion. You're
Yeah,
still
there's
going
going
to
to be
have good
some
days and
bad
bad
days.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing here too is I think what's happened is this Chris or David has acclimated to this higher score and now has this perverse effect of getting him to focus on the time, right? Because he's like, hey, I used to be able to finish section, now I can't. And so it's almost like he's scrambling to try to finish, which could then make this problem worse.
Yeah, like I don't think your accuracy is actually that good, David. You were happy about sections where you say I often missed fewer than 5 questions on each section. Well, if you're missing that many, then you shouldn't be finishing.
Yep.
So, you know, if you think you're barely scratching the surface of the last passage, well, that's okay if you're missing 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever. I mean, like you've got to be getting paid for the work that you're actually doing. I wonder if David didn't get excited about the 15-point improvement and then start thinking like, well, to make a 30-point improvement, all I got to do is just finish the sections and it's like, yeah, but you're not there. So maybe you're out a little bit over your skis here
Mm, hmm.
and you need to maybe go back to the basics of one question at a time, not really going to worry about finishing the test. Let the scores come from like understanding. You're going to just dominate the test by understanding it.
Yeah.
And then you get paid for all the questions you do and you don't leave those ones on the table where you did the question but you missed it.
Yeah.
That's not how it's done. You've got to be getting paid one question at a time. Anything more for David?
No, thanks for writing in.
Email daily@lsatdemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.